Yo, what is up guys, it's me Eve again here playing Tokyo Ghoul Break the Chains. In today's video we're going to talk about Kuroiwa, the new Arata Rampage, the brother of Shinohara Rampage, who came out basically yesterday. So we're going to talk about him, what he does, as well as I'm going to talk about some stuff about him that does make it interesting to see if he's going to be in meta or not. As well as obviously we're going to talk about the team that I would recommend you try with him if you want to use him the most efficient way. So obviously he's a green. He is a CCG higher rank investigator, so he's not a lower rank. So for example, like Juzo, who is considered to be a lower rank, so he works with the his ultimate that gives the buff for the higher investments. Let's take a look at the ranking list where he stands on the basic stats. And he's obviously really good. To be honest, his basic stats are really great. And they've been some tendencies after they started doing like Chief. For example, Chief had a really good stat at the time when he came out. Juzo also has like a really decent stat as well. Maybe he's a little bit lackish in some, like he doesn't have one specific stat that is like extremely big. But still, Juzo is considered the meta in current day, as well as his CPs on a very decent side as well. So Shinohara also is on a very good stats. Like obviously his attack is gonna be lower because he is if like in terms of other games you would consider him something like as a tank. I don't know if like in Tokyo Ghoul terms, to be honest, there is no really tanks. He would be more considered of as a supporting kind of role. Because again, there is no tanks in this game where you like go in on only building a full-on tank there and stuff like that. So his defense is great, his HP is extremely good, and his CP is also really solid. So in terms of overall, he looks really good on the basic stats. So let's take a look at his skills. After assuming the intervent stance with 1 turn, lower the skill level of all enemies and grant self a shield equal to 25% of max HP. So this is kind of like a forbidden on the Tatra, but he doesn't do the damage. He kind of just puts on the shield and also debuffs the stuff. So this is kind of like the forbidden. You can think of it as a forbidden from the Tatra, but without doing damage. Intervene increases all allied characters' crit defense by 60% when an ally is attacked, reduces the damage taken by that ally by 8% for 1 turn up to 40%. So that's also great. Like damage reduction by 40% is huge. Crit defense by 60%, also not bad. Again, if this was like really low, like it would be like in some cases on some characters they do put it like 10% of crit defense, and like bro, that's nothing. But 60% is actually solid. That's almost in current situations like basically playing a 50-50 here if you're gonna crit or not. So that's a really good thing. I think so. That's an okayish one. You could, to be honest, I would say you could even give it even more. I think like 70-80%. I think that would be really good. That would be really solid. So I think they could have gone even more than this. But I think if they would give it like an 80, I think that would be extremely OP already. So 60s I think is really decent. Well present, increasing the basic stats of allied CCG characters by 20%. When Self has a shield, 40% of the damage taken from a single target skill taken by an allied CCG character will be borne by Self. And all allied take 20% reduced damage. When Self has no shields, the damage taken in the hit will not exceed the 40% Self max HP. So here's basically, he gets the shield. If an enemy attacks one of your characters, he's gonna take percentage of that damage on himself. He's gonna get losing basically the same as, for example, on Wet Owl that also can do that. There's also some I think other characters, but I don't remember exactly right now who can do that as well. But basically he takes the damage from them, and when he loses the shield, he gets the basically you can't exceed 40%, something like the Tatra's damage. When he has on 0 stars, he also has a passive when he can't exceed some percentage of the damage taken. So this is kind of like that, but this is based off Self's max HP, so that's going to be depending solely on your ability to make him really work with that HP. At the start of the battle, grant 1 arm effect to an allied CCG character up to 3 stacks. When an allied CCG character uses active skill, additionally grant that character 1 arm effect for every 2 arm effect that allied character have obtained. Grant self a preparation effect for up to 6 stacks. So here, he's gonna be buffering your team, so attack and defense. That's really good. Again, you have 3 stacks here, so this is 15% on both sides. That's not bad. That's pretty decent. Maybe like they could have gone it even a little bit bigger there as well, because again, he's mostly just a support. So we're not taking him like as a damage dealer for the most part. So might as well just giving him a much better like buffs. I think it's not gonna be like that big of a difference. I mean, that's obviously gonna be a difference, but I think as he's not doing like enough damage, might as well giving him a more OP supporting skills. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's bad in this one, but I'm saying that they could have gone like overboard with this. Why not? You're gonna like you can nerf him anyway in like on the second day. So why not just go all in, make him extremely OP, and then nerf him in the on the second day? Why not? You know, I just wanted to see what would happen if he would be extremely OP. At the start of the turn, for each preparation hold, increases your max HP by 4 for 1 turn up to 24. So 24% max HP could be increased, and that's pretty huge. Being weak reduces all allied characters' damage taken by 8%, so that's good as well. At the end of your turn, deal this entry, like I don't know why they didn't change this, but sure, this is somewhat gonna be the name of that thing. Equal damage equal to 180% of attack to the enemy target with the highest attack, and additionally deal damage equal to 15% of your shield amount on that target. The additional damage cannot exceed 400% of your attack. When your HP first drops below 50%, grant yourself the potent tactic effect and fixes the next damage taken to 1 once per battle. Power attack ignores the target's block chance when attacking and reduces the target's attack by 15% for 1 turn. And potent tactic, at the start of your turn, restore 20% of your lost HP. When taking damage, reduce the attacker's base stats by 83%, max stack 5. Lasting until the battle ends. So this is a really decent start. Like 3rd star, I really like it. I think his damage is pretty good. Like most of those characters that have the passive damage without like needing to use active skill, it's always like decent. Again, no one will say no to a free damage dealing as a cheap damage. Sure, like huge, as well as he gives himself some buffs and stuff like that, debuffs as well. So that's really good. I'm not gonna say this is a bad thing or anything like that. Increases the basic stats by 10% for 1 turn, so nothing too crazy here. Pretty most of the time, this is something that everyone gets. So overall, about him, I think he's not a free-to-play character. Again, for those who are free-to-plays or like maybe low spenders that spend a lot for Uta, this is not going to be a character for you, because this guy needs to be on Triple S. You need to make him Triple S, because again, he's gonna be, as I said before, he's kind of like a tank in your team. He needs to withstand all of that shit that's gonna come into him, and he needs to be strong enough to do that. So that you're like, if he's weak and if he's gonna be too weak, you're dead. Like there's no point in using him if he's too weak. So because of that, I do recommend trying to maybe like at least be D. Obviously that's D is like the standard at this point, but I think this guy needs a Triple S to be working properly, because before that it's gonna be like a little bit lackish in some senses. But again, he's a great tank, like probably the best tank in the game. If you can like compare it to some other characters could also tank, let's say like Red Toka with a charm, because she's kind of like a tank, right? So because you're putting charm on her, she's now tanking, as well as the Green Owl was kind of a tanky unit. Again, there's no specific term for those type of characters in Tokyo Ghoul, because this is kind of like a different game. They don't have a tank in here, but I would say those type of characters would be more considered of, as a tanky characters, isn't it? So this is also a tank character, and he's probably the best at that. So also why I would say you need to be for free to plays. I don't recommend him because again, triple S is extremely hard to get. Like a free to plays probably will have a really hard time to getting him to triple S compared to like whales. Obviously, whales can do that easily, but for free to plays, it's gonna be really hard. So now let's talk about the teams, and he is not gonna be in your meta team. Why? Is because this team is different. They have different purposes. Currently, CCG is not about defense type of team anymore. Current CCG, again, you can see this. This is the current meta CCG that everyone runs. This is a full-on DPS CCG. So basically, kind of like on Ogiri, they want you to have a first. You need to start first with them. You can't start second because they're not gonna survive. This guy is not gonna survive. This guy is not gonna survive. This guy might survive, but again, even then, questionable because he's also like in terms of basic stats, he's like really low currently in current situation because everyone is so high compared to him. But again, he has a really high CP stat at least. I'm on kind of the same thing. He's currently really on a much lower side compared when he was when he came out. Obviously, that's because of the power scaling that been coming into the game more and more with each character. And obviously, that makes sense when the characters are much older, like these two, compared to the newer ones. But still, the CCG is full on DPS now, so there is no place for Shinohara. And because of that, I'm gonna show you really quick what do I mean by that, based on obviously this team. We're gonna use Mado here, but it doesn't matter who you use in the backup. You can use Toka again. She's for the sake of CP. If you're using her, that doesn't matter. So the thing is with this team, you see, the point of this whole team is to make this green Arima have his passive as fast as possible. So Amon here is only like his sole purpose is for the sake of his attack in the beginning. If there was another CCG character that would have better stats than him, like and without like needing a gut cell on him, this guy would be switched. This guy would instantly be switched. But because he's the only CG character that can do the attack early on. Like the only two characters that can do that, it's him in the red Ayato before your turn starts, basically. So because of that, Amon is extremely needed in this team. Without that, unfortunately, he would be needing to be switched. But for now, he is. The second one is, you see this one. This is the passive that Arima gets when the one of the allies attack in his team. So one of the CCG characters. And because of that, he already has a stack and you didn't even start the turn. So this is where the Juzo comes in. You do one attack. Let's just skip it, right? You do one attack. Second passive is here. Third passive is here. And now he's good to go. He has the full passive and he can attack already. So for example, let's say this is an RTA battle, right? You already have a full 3 stacks. So you used 1 point to get this Juzo, right? So you have still 2 more to go, and now because this team is not a tanky team at all, they're not Anteiko, they're not gonna survive if you're not gonna finish the battle before like second turn, basically. So this is where the red Arima needs both of these points that you have left, and because of that, let's imagine here you would have Shinohara maybe over red Arima. If you would put red Arima, like Shinohara in here, he uses 1 spot. He's already using 1 spot. So now you have only 1 spot for this green Arima, so you're not going to be doing an extremely lower amount of damage compared to if you would obviously put 2 green Arimas here. And that green Arima can almost one-shot the fucking team if he wants to. If he's strong enough, he can fucking one-shot a whole team. Especially if it's just a mirror match with CCG or a mirror match with the not mirror match but with Aogi. He's gonna fucking demolish them. Even Anteiko is having a hard time to survive. Anteiko can kind of survive. Like for example, I do when I fight CCG, I do sometimes survive. Not maybe everyone survives. Like some characters could die, like Green Toka, for example, could sometimes die. But like Red Toka, Team Hinami, all they survive first turn, but they're like really on low HP. But Aogiri and CCG are not gonna survive this in a mirror match, because again, Aogiri and Teiko is still much more tankier than those two teams. So in that sense, you're missing a lot of damage. And by putting Shinohara here, you do activate his shields, obviously, but now you're losing the damage. And the whole point, again, they're not survivable. Their survivability is on a very shitty level, bro. They're not gonna be surviving this. Even with Shinohara's help, they might survive a little bit longer, like a small amount of longer, but they're gonna be having a so hard time to be to be alive. Again, is probably even if they're surviving, they're gonna get debuffed to shit. Like a lot of characters in this game have a debuffs, so these two are gonna get so much debuff that even then their damage is probably gonna drop off a lot harder. So because of that, that's why the Iwao is not really meant for the meta Anteku. He's more of a full-on support type, again, really tanky, and because of that, he is not meant for this team. But then there's also another team that you can try him in. I think that's the team that he like really fancies a lot. It's gonna be tanky CCG. You obviously have the Mado here. Mado for the sake of all of his buffs as well as shields. You need to have a Psy Arima, and Psy Arima is currently out of meta because he has no CP. That's basically it. Arima, because of no existence of Arima's CP, again, he's a really old character. Give him the slack, you know. He's been like on the top meta of CCG for so long. Give him the rest, you know. Put him to bed. This is our old grandpa, you know. He's like the grandpa of the CCG here. He's the first carnival to ever exist on Break the Chains. So give him the slack. Let him rest, you know. He did his job, you know. He was the meta, and we should salute him for that. So because of that, this is gonna be something that you can try if you want to use, you know, Iwao in your main team. But I think Iwao is better as it is on the second team for sure. It would be much better in the second team, not on main team. But this is something you can try. Again, Psy Arima gives a lot of shit ton of shields. So because of that, he does go well with the Shinohara. These two are here for the damage sake, because again, currently if you're not using Green Arima, you're not going to be killing anyone. You're going to be dead even if you have the biggest you know, tankiness in the whole game. You're still going to be dead because you're not going to have enough damage to do anything without this guy. He's the sole purpose of the damage of CCG. Without him, CCG wouldn't be doing any damage. Maybe Juzo could also like kinda do some damage, but he's a single target compared to this guy who is a single plus an AoE damage dealer. He's both, he's like the most mixed character in this game, and he's like one of the best damage dealing capacities. So again, this is I think probably the best you can do with this this team. But again, you need to have these two on triple S. Otherwise, this is not gonna work. Like, this is not gonna work. His CP is shit. His CP is decent, but again, because you're not having Amon who has an gut cell, you're losing a lot of CP. This guy has a decent CP, and this guy has like okay-ish CP. But they are, again, they're not in like top of the CP list, obviously, because again, he's only like around 30, and with the full-on gut cells, a lot of characters do go beyond him in terms of CP. Even some like characters that are much lower should be much lower. Like for example, Ol is much lower in terms of CP on basic stats than him. But because this guy has a fucking 2 gut cells, he's like one of the top CP units in the whole game compared to this guy. Same goes for Juzo. Again, he's decent, but again, because of the no existence of gut cells in this team at all, except for Mado, you're not gonna have any good CP advantage, especially if you're not gonna be using the red Arima, if you're not gonna be using Amon who has at least gut cells, so that also kind of buffs their CP stats. So that's at least something. Maru is gonna be having the most CP, to be honest, in this team, because with 2 gut cells, he's actually on like one of the probably somewhere in top 10 of the whole list because of the 2 gut cells that he got. So again, this is going to be very clanky in terms of teams. Also, if you're thinking of using Iwao in the second team, I do recommend, again, Psy Arima is now not in the main team, so you can easily slot him into the second team, and you can put something like this. So the combo of Shino plus Iwao and Chief here, and the Psy Arima. Psy Arima is going to be your main DPS, these two are going to be your supports, and Chief is also your another support who's going to put vulnerability. This guy's going to be debuffing, this going to be is tanking, and this guy going to be doing damage. But again, Iwao is also really good in PvE. Again, his shielding capacity, where you don't need to worry about getting one-shotted on the first turn. This is where he comes in. So in terms of like full-on PvE, you can obviously slot him somewhere here, like this, and this is great. He works really well on the PvE content, so you can do this here as well as on some like auto content as well. This would be really fine. But because again he doesn't have it, you will probably need to suffice with this. This is your main CCG, and this is going to be your second CCG, with the two characters that I said here, Chief and Shinohara, as your second priority. So that's how the situation with Iwao is. I do think he's extremely good. The problem is the current meta CCG doesn't favor him. Again, they're not about tankiness, they're about one-shotting the enemy on the first turn, otherwise they're going to be dead. So because of that, also Iwao, again, if he's the solo tank in the team without help of like Psy Arima, he's gonna have a hard time as well. He's gonna be really good still, but again, he needs a little bit of help from like Chief, from Shinohara to debuff the enemy so they don't do too much damage, as well as Psy Arima buffing his shields again also does help a really big amount. So don't think that Iwao, if you're just slotting Iwao there, he's gonna be a game changer. Like he with the buff of the Psy Arima, buff of the Chief, I mean debuffs kinda, as well as the Shinohara debuffs, this guy is fucking unkillable, bro. This team is unkillable if you actually like have enough, if you have the capacity to start versus your enemy. They're not gonna even kill you. Like there's no way they can fucking kill you, because this guy is gonna debuff them to shit. This guy is gonna tank the fuck out of them, and this guy is gonna even buff more and also be doing some decent damage as well. So this is extremely hardest, like probably the hardest team to even kill in current situation, because they're so fucking tanky. But again, the problem is CP. You're most likely not gonna be starting with this team. You're gonna get shit on just because you can't start first. And if you're not starting first, there's no point in this team at all. So for the second team, it's gonna be great for the second team. But for the first team, it's not gonna cut it, unfortunately. So this is what I think about Iwao. Tell me what you think about him in the comments. Obviously, we can talk about that. Also, hopefully you like the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments, as well as I stream every day, so hopefully you'll tune in for the streams. You can also join the Discord. I post notifications beforehand, always there. So we will hopefully see you there on the streams as well. We play Tokyo Ghoul as other games in there. And hopefully you have a great day. I'll see you on the next